Hey everyone, welcome back to Hanging Out for a Living, where we have real conversations with people who are living, leading, and reinventing their lives on purpose. Today's conversation is especially meaningful because at some point, often quietly, many women realize they've been living in survival mode. They've been strong, they've been responsible, they've been capable, but somewhere along the way, their spark dimmed. My guest today helps women find that spark again and turn it into a fire. Carole Hodges is a transformational coach, speaker, and author who works with women in the second half of their life. Women who are accomplished, wise, and ready for what's next, even if they're not sure what that is yet. Carole is known as the navigator, and for good reason. She helps women reconnect to their internal compass when life has knocked everything off course. And she doesn't just teach this from theory, she actually lives it. Her own journey includes profound loss, reinvention, and resilience. And what emerged from that season wasn't just recovery, but renewed purpose, clarity, and energy for life. If you've ever felt like you've outgrown the life you're living, maybe you're standing at a crossroads in midlife, or you know there's more in it for you that hasn't been fully expressed yet. This conversation is really for you. So grab a cup of coffee or other beverage of choice. This is a non-judgment zone. Settle in and let's hang out with Carole today. Welcome, Carole.
Oh, so glad to be here, Teresa. And I love this hanging out together.
Yeah, I love hanging out. It's fun. So let's dive into those questions we talked about. Many of the women you work with are successful, driven, they're deeply capable, and yet they face new challenges, changes in relationships, retirement, physical changes. How do you help women recognize when they've dimmed their own light, and what's usually the first step toward reigniting it?
That is a great question. What I find is that, first of all, we're all going to face the changes. They
Yes.
they happen. They just happen. Kids grow up, they leave, relationships with your husband change.
Yeah.
You're going to retire at some point. Suddenly, who am I without a job?
Yes.
And then your body starts giving you signals that it's changing. I mean, starting with menopause, we women all get a notice that
Oh,
things are changing.
yes.
But what I find is that there's kind of, I'll call it common hour thinking that, okay, I find some people label themselves as old. They label, and you can do that just, I mean, it's common.
It is. I agree.
And what's old? 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Oh, by 100, I'll admit I'm old. But all along the way, I find great differences in people.
Hmm.
And often someone who's been very accomplished begins to question themselves. That's the first sign,
Hmm.
who am I now that my kids don't need me? Who am I without this job? And what I find is that you can either dim your light at that point, or you can say, hey, I'm here. I have something to give. And I can look back and connect the dots in my life and appreciate everybody listening to this. You were completely unique, completely unique. No one else is looking through your eyes. And if you say, I'm here for a reason, that becomes the way to begin to connect it. Look at yourself and know you're here to express your uniqueness and your gift your whole life.
Absolutely. And one of the things I found as I was aging here, when I was 40, I thought, wow, 60, that's kind of getting up there, right? And then now here I am in my mid 60s, and I'm like, I feel pretty young. I mean, wow, 66? I don't know what really is old, right? So I think through the decades, I think that changes for all of us.
Yes, it does. It absolutely does. And we think it's normal. I mean, someone could pass at 60 and you'd say they have a good life,
Right.
but they might have been 90 or 120. That's a whole lifetime of difference.
It is. It is. So true. So true. So you're known as the navigator, helping women find their internal compass after major life disruptions. When someone feels lost or untethered, career-wise, emotionally, or spiritually, how do you help them listen to their own truth again instead of external expectations?
Well, I call myself the navigator because with behind me, I actually sailed on that boat
Ah,
and
love it.
been off. And I've been off the California coast where there are places you cannot see the shore. You're really not all that far, but maybe a mile, 2 miles off, you cannot see the coast. And you have to know where your compass is to know that you're going in the right direction. Because I'll tell you, the waves, the wind, they take you in different directions. Life is like that. You think you're going one direction, but the winds changed. The
It
tides
does.
it
Yeah,
changed. And,
absolutely.
and you can be going forward and then not realizing that you may be going away from where you want. So what I find is there's an internal compass. And that internal compass is what you dial into what's true for you. Why are you here? It's a combination of, uh, some people call it psychology. I call it a spiritual connection, that
Sure.
you're here for a purpose and you connect to that. That is your compass. Because when you can wake up in the morning and say, okay, why am I alive today? What am I doing
Right.
today? What's mine to do? That is what can bring you back even when the tides, life takes you a different direction.
Exactly, exactly. Someone taught me something a long time ago about receiving presents, gifts, right? And she did something that was unique, and I ended up mirroring that. And that was um, create a memory. Go create a memory as instead of getting a birthday gift, create a memory. And then those memories are ones we can tap into when we are going through struggles, changes, things like that. So I love your compass and the way you navigate that.
Yeah,
So
and that's beautiful.
thank
That's
you.
beautiful. I love that.
So, and yeah, your story reminded me of that, and I'm like, I've got to share that really quick. Um, so your personal journey includes profound loss and reinvention. How did those experiences reshape your definition of purpose? And what do you want women to understand about reinvention in the second half of life?
Well, first of all, everyone will have their own challenges.
Yes.
Mine came a lot pretty hard, pretty fast, because it was just before I was turning 50. And in a single year, it was the loss of my eldest daughter to suicide, complete Chapter 7 bankruptcy, losing the house, and divorce.
Wow.
And I took a new job 2 weeks after my daughter's funeral. But what I found in that reinvention is the importance of having something that's central to you. Because in taking that new job, I didn't tell anybody what was going on in my life. I thought if anybody actually knew what was happening, they would consider me probably a basket case, and I would never get a job. And I needed that job.
Right.
At that point, my income was all that was buying the groceries.
Mm.
So it wasn't a matter of being able to save the house or anything else, but I had two more children, still married at that point, and I I needed to have a job where uh, I wanted one where I didn't need to get emotionally involved in it and think about it too much. I just wanted to show up from 9 to 5 and get a paycheck. And so I found that a whole new arena, technology, which
Yeah.
that sent me in a different direction. But what what really got me through was just taking the next step. And that step was income. So I got through that and then gradually made the next steps. but I had a vision. I had a vision of a better life. It wasn't real clear at that time, but I was real clear on what I needed to do next. And that gave me the strength to do it. And I was grateful that I had something really calling me, that it wasn't a matter of like manufacturing something. No, I had something important to do and I did it. So I find that's what moves you forward.
So it's that clarity, that knowing what you need to do to take that next step and the step afterwards.
Yeah, inner clarity and an additional loss because that was the big one a while
Mm.
ago. But then October 3rd, 2023, we had a fire at our home
Ooh,
and found it. We were smelling something electrical and
okay.
then discovered like a 2 foot fire back in the workshop. By the time the firemen got there, there were flames above the roof.
Ooh,
Well, everyone was safe. That was the good news because
yes,
I tell
definitely.
you, right, we swung into action. We knew what to do to get all the people out, the animals
Sure.
out, and we sat there watching the firemen and watching our house go up in flames. I even have a picture of the house going up in
Oh
flames.
my gosh.
And my husband said, "We've lost everything." And I frankly didn't think we had because the front of the house looked fine.
Okay.
But I said, I don't know why, but I have a sense of peace that has come over me. And he said, I feel it too.
Oh wow.
And I think that was a redirection for me. I did not know that the first time I knew what I had to do. This time I did not know exactly what was next. I quickly found out I had to go through everything in my house, and that was that's like a life review.
Oh,
Okay,
definitely.
list everything that you own. Okay,
Yeah.
but what I discovered out of that it really was like spirit saying, "Hey, stop what you're doing," and I did. And that's when I really came back full force into saying, "Yeah, I am meant to get back to coaching, and there is more meaning in my life." So it really ignited me to jump back in full force and say, I have a new message. It's a different message.
Yep.
It's for women going into that last part of life to express their wisdom. You don't get to
No, that's true.
in the second half of life without developing the type of wisdom that right now this world needs positive thought. It needs
Absolutely.
wisdom. So
Absolutely.
I really say every woman out there who hears it, look for that inner wisdom and share it. You know, the love, the care, the things that are important to you. Share it.
Absolutely. And so you work with women leaders, executives, and entrepreneurs 50 plus who are
Mhm.
ready to reclaim their future. What excites you most about this season of life, and what's truly possible for women who choose to design their next chapter intentionally?
Well, I will tell you, one thing to consider is that when you're younger, you can never do what I'm going to say, which is connect the dots of what called you in life and know that they called you for a reason.
Right.
And just an example of my own life, there was a time when my kids were young and I had been taking a dance class and heard the opportunity of being in community theater. And it called to me. I'd never done anything like that before, but I was loving the dancing. And I thought, I bet that would be fun. And I went to my first audition. I was terrified. I'd rehearsed and I got to the center stage and lost my voice.
Ooh,
It's like I'm singing, and it's like everybody's like,
huh?
they couldn't hear me. It was horrible. And yet I went back again and again. Because they'd have these, once every 3 months or so. So I went back again. I flubbed it up like 3 or 4 times. And I have to say, what made me go back? Because nobody in my family cared if I did this. And what made me go back, I realize now, was something within me. There was an expression that was meant to come out. And I say to every woman, look back. You may have something like that, like a disconnect that didn't make any sense whatsoever. But in the end, I kept going. And I did end up having an opportunity to move up from chorus to a main role and sing and dance in the
Oh,
middle of it was a full stage with a full
wow.
orchestra. And it's not only a highlight now, it tells me something about having a bigger message. So and I say this mostly so women can look back in your own life, maybe something that didn't make sense or something you absolutely loved. And it doesn't matter what it is, it's yours. Your little connection of dots is will show you why you're here on this planet and then to do the unusual thing of saying, what would I love?
Uh,
What would I absolutely love in my life? And that's that's the starting point where I come in with someone to say, what would you love? And create that in your life. You still have creation. In fact, that's what keeps us vital in this life is continue to create because I believe everybody's meant to be a creator in their own way.
right, right. I have to tell you, Carol, oh my God, all I can say is, oh my gosh, this entire conversation has been so incredibly grounding and inspiring. And what I love most about your work is that it reminds women that it's not too late. They're not broken, and their best chapter doesn't live in the past. It actually lives ahead of them. So, folks, if today's conversation resonated with you, if you felt seen, stirred, or quietly called forward, I want to encourage you to please continue the conversation with Carol directly. Now, her contact information is in the description of this video, and I highly recommend reaching out, exploring her work, and taking the next brave step toward a life designed on purpose. Carol, thank you so very much for the work you're doing, the wisdom you shared today, and for hanging out with us. And to everyone still watching or listening, thank you for spending your time with us. And until next time, keep showing up, keep listening to your inner compass. Bye for now.